Well, thank you guys all so much for joining today. Just full disclosure, we were going to record this, and then Inslee's restrictions came out, and kind of the whole state of wedding receptions is a little bit in limbo right now. But I still wanted to record this since we have all you guys, all these talented minds, and once this information is a little more applicable, we'll post it and keep the content pretty evergreen. But I wanted to get one. We have an episode talking about safety with catering, food protocols, and things going on with weddings now. And I wanted to do one. Jan, of course, when I posted my call for looking for caterers, and she said, "Don't forget about the bar service." And I said, "Jan, I got you." It was the next one on my list. So we got it going. Jan, why don't you introduce yourself, and then we'll go around. Everyone just tell who you are and what you do.
Hi, everybody. I'm Jan Fernandez. I am the founding partner and compliance officer for Party on the Rocks, event staffing, and mobile bar service.
And Ryan, what about you?
My name's Rion McConnehey. I'm the owner over at My Perfect Bartender, and same thing, just mobile bar services, consultations, whatever you need.
And Nigel was just a guest of the Get to Know Your Wedding Pro podcast. We talked all about his journey and planning the wedding and going through kind of everything, both on the vendor side and then also on the getting married side and dealing with kind of all this craziness. So Nigel, why don't you tell us who you are and what you do?
Yes, my name is Nigel Lindsey. I'm the owner of Revolution by the Barrel craft cocktail catering company, as well as soon to be husband in the near future when COVID allows me to. But yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys all so much. I know it's a really stressful time. Lots of changes. We have tweets coming out now from our governor changing things. So thank you guys all so much. Just kind of a check-in. How's everyone doing? I know that we were talking a little bit before we recorded that kind of a lot of you guys are saying, you're holding off on bookings now until things kind of clear up. Is that the case? Jan, why don't we just start with you and just kind of a wellness check-in?
Yeah, so my partner Claire and I had a pretty long conversation today because it just keeps going back and forth. What do? We've rescheduled brides 3 and 4 times now, and everybody's nerves are just frayed. And we've just decided that we are not going to book anybody between now and February 1st. We had 3 people reach out to us for September weddings, and we don't see it happening. Honestly, we don't see anything happening before the beginning of the year. So that's where we are. We're booking after September or February 1st.
And Ryan, similar boat, I think, right?
Say one more time. I'm sorry.
Oh, so Ryan, a similar boat.
Yeah, similar boat. Jan couldn't have said it better herself. The nerves are frayed. Times are tough, and you're double rescheduling and then triple rescheduling. So where she's going for February, I'm actually not even going until March. But to tell you honestly, Reed, I am super blessed. A lot of companies didn't make it. A lot of things are shutting down, and my bills are paid. My kids are healthy. So I mean, let's just keep on pushing through this together. That's it.
And Nigel, like I said, you've been kind of burning the candle on both ends with planning and everything else. How's everything going for you guys?
When it comes to the planning portion, I just feel mostly bad for my fiance, even though I get the runt of it. But for me, as far as the company, we've been doing the best we can, keeping consistent communication with all our soon-to-be husband and wife or wife and wife, and we're just doing what we can on a day-to-day basis, and that's all we can do. And I'm just trying to survive, continue to keep moving. Can't complain. We've been trying to figure out other avenues in which to bring income in, which have been pretty successful. But right now, when it comes to doing a wedding, we still have some bookings left in this year. But at this point, I'm just keeping consistent conversation with them, just letting them know that if things need to change, we can make that change, and I'm happy to work with them around that.
Yeah, what's been Ryan? Let's start with you. What's been besides just the constant just questions about booking and everything, but as it relates to you and bar service and things, what's been the biggest challenge right now, just to kind of get your head around as it relates to you? Because I know it's different for each vendor type.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd say one of the biggest ones for me is the optimism that some of my clients have that maybe they shouldn't. I have a lot of clients that are just like, hey, we're scrapping everything. We'll call you again in a year. And I'm like, that makes sense. And then I have some clients that are really adamant about pushing forward, and I appreciate their positive attitude, but they're like, no, we'll be in this phase by this date so we can have this guest count. Then I have to have that talk with them like, okay, are you ready to make those phone calls to tell the people they can't come if this doesn't come? And they're like, no, it's not going to be like that. And so my company's a very roll with the punches type situation. That's just kind of who I am as a person. And some of my clients are, and some of my clients aren't. And then they get frustrated with me or the venue for certain procedures that we have in place because it's not what they agree with personally. And it's like, guys, we all just got to roll with the punches and just do what we can and back each other up and understand that this is all super stressful. And in the end, we'll all get married. It's all going to be fine. We're all going to die. It's all, we just got to keep pushing forward.
Nigel, what about you? How are you trying to wrap your head around things? What's been a hurdle for you guys?
I don't think I'm trying to wrap my head around any of it, really. I'm just trying to take it like one day at a time. I figure like it's just consistent learning, right? So I'm consistently looking into figuring out where we're going to be. When the communication, as far as with the couples, I'm a very transparent person. I just let them know how I feel, in not a rude way, of just where things are going. And if they want to continue, then we'll continue. But it's just like, hey guys, I'm just here as your resource. I'm going to be your bartender for you no matter what. And I'm going to try to work with you as much as possible. But with everything going on, it's not really trying to wrap my head around this point just because I'll go insane, right? Just trying to figure out what rules in place here, what rules in place there. I just take everything one day at a time. And if I get updated information, I have my call list of who else is left on this year. And then I'll just say, hey, this is where we're at. I'm not trying to stress you out. How do you want to continue to move? Or just reach out to me when you're ready to move forward in a certain type of way. Just know I'm the resource there for you.
Yeah, that's kind of like after all this stuff on Thursday, I emailed everybody, and I was just like, I don't even know if you want to hear from me right now or not, right? I don't know if you need a week to get your mind together. I feel so bad because you're trying to walk that tightrope between being there but also not. You know what I mean? It's tough because I'm sure that they're like, hey, give me some time to wrap my head around. Jan, I know you're Miss Logistics and insurance and everything else, and this has to be a nightmare just for trying to figure out the right way to do things. How have you guys been working through all this?
So our challenge is they're moving from venues to backyards, and they want us to continue because it's in a backyard. And so, it's like, what's your position? Well, our position is I'm not willing to lose a $500,000 business because you want to have a party in your backyard. I'm also not willing to let my employees or your guests potentially get sick because somebody's walking around asymptomatic, right? So I'm going to do the right thing.
And that's
I'm going to follow the rules that the governor has set forth. I watch I don't watch the Facebook. I don't watch the news. I listen to the chief medical officers of the insurance companies and what their recommendations are. I listen to, the doctors at the universities that are studying these things, that are looking at vaccines. And I'm afraid that they are concurring with follow these guidelines. Stay away from people. Abstinence is the best way to not catch something. So we're just following the mandates and we're following the laws, and we're going to keep our liquor license. We're going to keep our business license, and hopefully we're going to keep all of our employees safe.
Yeah, that's even today on one of the Facebook groups, and someone was posting, like just devil's advocate, do you think we could, if we wanted to do this, and then maybe we could do it this way, and like I think everyone's just finally kind of so fed up and just like, hey, like we're done with all this, like we're done with the can I maybe and whatever.
Right.
I think
does 30 include your vendors? No.
Yeah, it's definitely over it. And one of the big things, for me that I wanted to get all you guys on, just in terms of safety and guest kind of control. I know that one of the biggest things we always talk about with weddings is having, professional bartenders, managing, liquor consumption, guests, knowing how to cut people off in a respectful way, all the different things that you guys all, pride yourselves about. And I remember, it was the first big wedding we had in June, like right after they opened all this up. And I mean, they were out of control. Out of control liquor, from the bottle, all this, sharing cigars, lighting each other's cigars. And I just thought like, man, like that would be such a, not that all of this is easy, but an easy way to begin these conversations would be, to limit the liquor consumption of everybody. Have you guys thought about that? Just and how, when you guys get back to weddings, your role is going to be with that? Jan, I see you nodding your head.
Yeah, so I actually had this happen to me on Friday night. We did a really nice wedding, a young couple, military. So, they were going to have a good time. Grandpa came up from Tennessee. He brought his motorhome, so he was, self-contained the whole way up. He and his wife had discussed how they were, wearing their masks. They were going to be in compliance. They brought face shields. They were going to do everything because they were in the high risk category, right? And he came up to my bar right after the wedding ceremony, got his glass of wine, had his mask on. 20 minutes later, came back, no mask. I was like, hey, sir, got a mask up. And he's like, I knew this was going to happen. And I looked, I was like, well, he's going to attack me. And he said, no, my wife and I talked about it. We were going to do this. And he said, one glass of wine and it's out the door. And I said, yes, it is. And that's exactly what happens with alcohol. And that's why the governor has shut down having alcohol being served in restaurants now. So there's no more service in restaurants after the 30th, right? Curbside service only. That's why they're not allowing food after weddings. It's because when alcohol gets involved, people their inhibitions go away.
Ryan, what are your thoughts on that?
She's absolutely right. And as the night, you get on site for the wedding, and you're like, okay, most of the people are masked up. A couple people are hugging, but a lot of distancing. And that 1-2 glasses of wine, and you're like, okay, mask are down. There's no masks out here. And so that's pretty common. And COVID has highlighted something that I, as a bartender, have known for a long, long time. And whether it be intentional or they just genuinely didn't really get it, people don't like to listen. And the mask is all about listening, and they don't like that, and especially at weddings where you have this battle of like, I know we're all having a great time, but we just need to be safe, and that's just from the alcohol perspective. Now you have the COVID perspective, which is a double alcohol thing, and then I feel bad for other vendors because even though I know that I'm safely serving alcohol, I am the one giving them the alcohol, so sometimes it can just make things a little more difficult. It's a trip out there right now. But Jen was absolutely right. Yeah, in the beginning, mask up, and a couple hours in, no masks.
Nigel, what about you? Have you worried about, having to play that, obviously you guys don't want to play like the heavy, but you are, where you are a responsible, vendor, you are put in that position kind of whether you want to be or not.
Yeah, no, I mean, we're completely in that position. Jan's right. I actually recently did a wedding. I think it was 2 weeks ago now. And surprisingly, though, everybody wore their mask for the most part. So I did notice a couple of times that people would slip down the mask, but that's obviously to enjoy the beverage. But they were really spaced out. This wedding was no more than 30 people. And I was actually really happy. It made me like super happy that I didn't have to be the guy that I was when I first started bartending at a dive bar, where it's just like, I'm not rude but it's just like, hey, you have to do it. Like, you have to walk people like they're babies, right? And because that's also our job. We deal with drunk toddlers, pretty much. That's what they are, right? So at a certain point, some people become that. But at this wedding, they were listening, they're complying. It was amazing because me and the venue manager were just like, this is amazing. Like, we didn't expect it, even though we knew that this is what needed to happen. But I think that was just one of those one-off chances, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to be consistent across the board. So, Jan said it correct. And there's nothing, nothing more than that.
I think to the guy's point, there's a couple of things that will definitely help. One are ambassadors. So like your day of coordinator, her assistant, the facilities guys walking around gently reminding people, right? Your caterers gently reminding and limiting the amount of time, right? Because we all know it's a marathon, not a sprint, right? That's what we tell everybody, their third drink in during the cocktail hour, guys. Marathon, it's not a sprint, right? But really limiting the amount of time of socializing, because they're not supposed to be getting up out of their tables, right? Unless they're going to the bar or to the bathroom. there's no dancing anymore. There's none of that kind of stuff. So what do you do for 2 hours, right? So if they're going to continue to have something like this, they're going to need to like figure out more games to do or something that's going to keep people in their seats.
Yeah, that was I remember did their however many weeks ago now, feels like forever, our DJ one talking about kind of all this potential ideas and all this stuff. And now just, but it's like it doesn't even matter now, right? But because they changed the stuff. But it's so hard where I just and that's finally where we got to we did our episode yesterday that was posted today. And just I think we all finally, and it took me a long time too, got to the point where it's like it's not going to be a normal wedding at all this year, right? Like at all. And I know that I was, super guilty. And I always tell Dorothy, I can admit when I'm wrong. And, when I was talking to my Memorial Day couples and saying like, don't even worry about it. Like we're going to be swell. And then it's like, we're in, it's August, right? I mean, it's August soon and it's still not, So I think we all collectively have to kind of, and I know that but I'm saying like we all, brides and grooms and everybody else, we all need to kind of get on that same page.
Yeah. And if you think about, so we know that the spike is occurring in ages between 20 and 35, right? So who are those people getting married between 20 and 35-year-olds? So that's why the wedding industry is sort of being affected by it, because those are the people that are having the weddings. And, that's why they've shut the bars down, because those are the majority of the people or the younger people.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about that, Jan, about because I know when they updated the regulations on Thursday, and I don't know that you know way more of the specifics about it, but when they were, I know that they like limited some of the food stuff or like the liquor, and then people were like, well, how come the restaurants can be open, but the bar, because you're saying, right, it's because of the activities and the ages and stuff. Can you just elaborate on, for people not wondering like why they said whatever the new regulations and why the thought process was behind
it? So as of July 30th, restaurants are no longer allowed to serve alcohol inside. And that's because, I know, it's in essence to stop people from just sitting around and drinking. Because we all know what happens when you sit around and drink. Your inhibitions go down, you forget what you're doing, and everything else that goes along with it. And the majority of people that are out drinking right now are people between the ages of 21 and 35. They don't have children, right? They're college kids. They're home for the summer. They're bored to death. They want something to do. They're creatures of habit. I have one of my employees on my insurance side. He told me he went out to a bar in Fremont on Saturday night. This was a couple of weeks ago. And he said he walked in and it was packed.
Yeah, these places are packed. I've seen it. Yeah.
Yeah. And those are the ones that are coming down with COVID.
Nigel, has that been your experience? We haven't been out. I mean, we haven't gone anywhere, so I don't know. Have you guys been like seeing anything?
Oh, I haven't been out. So
yeah, because I don't know.
I've been doing since we bought this house. I've been just doing maintenance here. I mean, the closest I get to going out is Lowe's. So I say hi to the same person I see all the time, and they just make fun of me because I just keep coming back in there for more new things, right? But when we're like picking up orders, it's not too busy, at least out here in Snohomish County. It's, from what I'm seeing in Everett, it's pretty light. I haven't seen too many people out, but I don't doubt it. I mean, I'm 28. I know if I did not have kids, I would want to be out, right? Like if I didn't have everything that I have right now, or if I was me 4 or 5 years ago, I'd have been like, what's COVID? So, and that's just me, being younger. That would have been me being younger, not considering the effects and what that does. But yeah, I could definitely understand all that. I did hear though that a lot of the bigger spikes were also coming from a lot of daycares, at least in this area, at least in Snohomish County. So I think it's also coming in that a lot of younger parents are also possibly going out, trying to get that trip out, and then still going back to work that have to go to work. And then that's where the spike happens, right? And then it's affecting everybody too. So it's just all across the board, and it's making it so difficult right now.
Yeah.
So are we, I mean, when we get, and I know these are hypotheticals, but you guys and just thoughts and stuff. I mean, when we get back to weddings, are are walk-up bars not going to be a thing for a while? Is that going to be, are we going to be doing a lot more tableside service for safety stuff? I mean, have you guys been thinking about that and how it's going to affect, kind of the jobs that you guys do, or is that still just like mumbo jumbo down the line talk? Jan?
Well, I mean, I didn't see a problem with the walk-up bars, especially with so the venues that we've been at for the last 3 or 4 weeks, they've all had the sneeze guards in front. And I'll play jokes with people, like I'll take a can of beer and I'll crack it and I'll make it spit, and I'll do something like, "This is why I have a sneeze guard, so you don't end up with beer in your face," right? Ha ha ha! Everybody thinks it's funny. So I don't see that. And the problem with tables, I know
You're so funny, Jan.
the problem with tableside service is it takes more people. So then your staff count goes up, right? And currently you can only have one server per table. So you can have the same server at multiple tables, but you can't have multiple servers at the same table. Now, I don't know if that's going to change or not, but that just increases the labor cost.
Gotcha. Ryan, how are you thinking about that, and just kind of when you get back into things? I mean, how is your role going to look?
So it's so interesting because I pride myself on being like a good high volume bartender, but and there's certain things you streamline. So like a large water dispenser, that's out of the question now. Right. Putting out tubs of like non-alcoholic beverages so people can just reach in, out of the question now. So it's like Jan said, so like the tableside service, whether or not it affects it, that slows down the execution. I'm a man of execution. I'm very much a yes man, but also like, can we execute this properly? And it just changes the whole dynamics. Also sanitizing, changing gloves, masking, those all just take a few seconds, but a few seconds for a bartender is a lifetime. And I think Jan and Nigel will agree with me on that.
There's also no reusing glasses. So yep. What do you do? Take a sleeve with you?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, do you go with the sleeve? Do I walk around? Do I drag the keg behind me? I mean, how does all that execute? Real quick, I just want to tell you guys a funny story. I think you'll laugh. We're talking about the restaurants and people like going at past capacity. So during the week, I run My Perfect Bartender on the weekends, and during the weekdays, I work for a restaurant chain and I work for multiple stores helping out. I just travel wherever they need me. And right now, I'm working primarily in 2 locations. One's kind of my ghetto location, and one's kind of my nice location. And my ghetto location, everybody's listening. Everybody's masking up. They're listening to our rules about the bar. They're being great. I love it. My super nice location, they're like cussing out the 18-year-old hostesses. They're lying about the size of their parties. They're trying to sneak onto the patio. If they're a group of 10, we'll split them up and then they'll all just go to the table. And we're like, guys, we want you here. We want to accommodate, but you need to listen. And they're just like, no, we're good. And then then it's an issue. But it's fun. My ghetto store is great, and my nice store are not.
Well, you just got to switch the stores now.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. How is, and you guys were talking about the gloves and the gloves and masks and all this stuff. I mean, like Nigel, I know you're the big custom cocktails and all that kind of stuff. I mean, how do you put both of those things together, right? How is the safety going to work for that? I know it's tough.
Yeah, there's no other way to describe it other than tough. I mean, yeah, and then also like what we were talking about earlier when it comes to the timing. When we started trying to figure out other ways to earn money, when we started doing virtual cocktailing, you're breaking down and teaching people how to make drinks. I enjoyed it for those that will listen. But it was so boring because I was moving so slow, right? And so now I have to do the same, it seems like, as we continue to move forward. We have to break things down. Everything's taking a little bit of time here, and don't get me wrong. I don't think it'll make the drink imperfect. It's just the presentation is also about speed, right? It's also about how you're putting all that out. So it's it's just going to be difficult, and we're just going to have to learn with it. I mean, on the positive, during this time when we're not doing weddings, all it is going to be a learning experience. And I have a garage and I have a bar in that garage, so I'm going to start learning, and me and my fiance are going to start having fun. So it's just going to be tough, and we're just going to have to learn and just keep reading up every day and try to figure out what we can do as we continue to move forward and as we continue to survive, because you have a good customer base. It's just like we will just try to be better when time allows us to. That's all we can do at this point.
Yeah.
That's so interesting, Ryan, when you were talking about the people lying about the party sizes and stuff like that. I mean, but that totally is like, they set all these rules in place and it's like, well, how can we,
How can we get past it?
yeah.
I know.
We can count. Like that's I can see there's 7 people there. Like, yeah.
I was talking to my LCB officer about it, and he's like, I'm talking to my licensees, and they're like, what if there's 6 people at a table? 4 of them happen to be kids under the age of 10. Do you send one to the car?
What do you do? Do you say, I mean,
right? What do you do? And he said, look, I'm not going to care about that. And how do you know that 2 people of the same gender aren't married? You don't know. You probably know if there's 5 people sitting around, right? And they're all people under the age of 30. They're probably not in the same household commingling. They could be roommates, right?
Yeah.
So there's been so much, everything. It's just so ambiguous. There's just no way to know exactly what to do. You just got to do your best.
I'm waiting for the roommate argument because I'm like, oh, you're all roommates because that table over there is all roommates too, and so is that. I'm waiting for the roommate.
Well, you just haven't met the frat party that come in.
Right?
We all live in
or the poly
we all live in one frat. There's actually 20 of us here.
I
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too funny. I mean, what do you wish more people were asking you guys right now? What do you wish more people were asking, thinking about? I know that each vendor is thinking a million different things in their head all the time about, everything. What do you wish more people knew about what you guys are doing or thinking or planning? Ryan?
Oh man, that's a really good question. I just wish that some people were okay with keeping communication a little bit higher. One thing, and tell me if you guys agree with this. People ask me all the time, like, "Oh, are the couples super different, or some easy, some difficult?" Actually, no. Most of my couples are amazing and easy. It's the venues that are all super duper different. And I'll go to some venues and they're super strict. I'm like, okay, cool. We'll play by this rule that and I can roll with any punches. And then I'll go to another venue and they don't care about anything. I'm like, oh, I kind of wish that we would have communicated. So, like, for example, I don't know if you've had issues with this, but like catering, a lot of the caterers now are like making you stand 6 feet back with a mask, and they're like, do you want, like, they'll dish up your plate and then come and hand it to you. And I'm like, cool, I feel like that's safe. And then sometimes they'll just do the normal buffet line, which we're not supposed to do. And if they do a buffet line, I'm just like, cool, I guess I'm not eating today, or till I get home. And so I don't know. I guess we just wish we were all on the same page. I guess we just wish we were all on the same page.
Jan, what about you?
Well, the problem is, so just like any municipality, any government agency, you have your overarching, right, mandates that come down from the state, the federal, the state, and then you have your counties, right? And everybody's got their own thing. So Snohomish has this, King has this, Pierce has this, Thurston has this. And so you have to go by which is the strictest for whatever venue or whatever county you're in. And that part is challenging. I know just before the Tuesday mandate, whatever date that was, there was the June 26th mandate that came in place from the health department, right? That 6 feet outdoors, mask indoors. And we had a wedding venue that didn't know about that mandate. And I negligently didn't print it out and take it with me, couldn't upload it on my phone because it was in the middle of nowhere, because everybody likes to get married in the middle of nowhere.
Of course.
And I know. And I had the mother of the groom refuse to make her guests, though they had custom masks made, refuse them to wear masks while they were at the bar. And I said, well, there's a mandate out. No, it doesn't go into effect until Tuesday. And I said, no, there's the state mandate, and then there's the health department mandate. So this went back and forth, and the mother of the groom said, then you can just leave. And I said, okay, I will leave. I had to. And I wasn't even supposed to work. It was one of my bartenders that was working. I was just there as the compliance officer to back her up, right? So we walked out. Yeah, you got to do it. And I'm not proud about it, right? It was a tough decision. Who wants to be the guy that walks out with the bar? And the venue owner came out and he said, that was really unprofessional. And I said, you want to give me a bad review? I didn't want to make my guests follow a state mandate. I wanted to put my guests in jeopardy, and the bartender was not willing to break the law. I'll take that bad review. And he said, if I go back and they're willing to wear their masks, would you go back and bartend? And I said, I don't know if my bartender would go back, but I'll go back. And he came back down. They were willing to wear their masks. He said that there's probably going to be a few people that won't come up to the bar. And I said, that's fine. I don't mind. I'll give it to anybody who's going to, they just take the liability once I hand them the drink. That's on them. And the night went fine. Their guests were lovely. I didn't see a few people. That was fine. And everybody had a good time. The party actually shut down about 45 minutes early because there wasn't anything to do. But it was a tough call. I mean, I don't like being the bad guy, but
That's our job.
it's our job. I've had to call the police before. So,
Nigel, do you find that too? Just managing different, the one thing saying one thing or the side. I know I had just emailed my bride the 8/8 they canceled, and then Inslee, and she goes, where did you see that? There's always every day people are passing around 100 different screenshots of 100 different. Well, this is what this site says. Do you find too that it's just hard to even know like what the hell's going on and what rules you're even supposed to enforce?
Yeah, so I mean, not all the rules. I mean, certain rules that we've known as bartenders, that rule is really straightforward. I mean, things that I have to comply with my insurance and everything like that. Completely understand all those rules, right? But with COVID, one thing that I've been very adamant about and is just not getting my information from social media. That I think that has been the biggest. That's been the most helpful thing for me, right? And then I kind of just wait closer towards the end of the day. So even though we get a lot of this information at 3, I'm more of like, okay, it's 7 o'clock. Let me take a look at everything that's going on. Fact checked a couple of go through multiple resources before I start sending out information, because I don't want to do it too late at like 9 o'clock and then hit up my clients and just be like, oh, hey, at 9:01 this is what I know, because at that point it's already too late. Some people are sleeping, right? But at the same time, it's not too difficult in the approach that I have, just because I like to section out and just wait a little bit, and it just happens to be around my daughter's bedtime too, so it works out. But it's not too difficult, but it is difficult, right? Like when I was starting with this back when the first release of mandates and having that conversation, and I wasn't following the same rules. This is all stuff that's learned over time. I was getting my resources based off of social media, right? And I was just like going to different Facebook groups and be like, okay, well, I heard this person say this, and then I'm just trying to wrap my mind around all this, and then also have that update my brides and grooms, just letting them know like, oh, okay, hey, this is what's happening. Oh, wait, actually, this is the truth. And that's just not ideal for anybody, right? It just makes me look like I'm scrambled brained and not know what's really going on. So at the point we're at right now, it's not too crazy difficult. Is it difficult? Yes. But yeah, I just try to take a step away from social media where I get a lot of my resources. And I think that's just been what's been the most helpful thing.
It's just hard. You guys are just in such a different, you guys, the caterers, I mean, we're just kind of there, right? I mean, at least I am. We don't, obviously, we want to follow whatever, and we don't want to be in like an unsafe situation. But I'm not, man. You guys have just so much more liability and everything, right? And the caterers and the venues, and like I just feel, I don't know how I would be able to operate if I had that much. It just feels like there's a lot on your guys' shoulders that it's not equitable for all the different, like I think there's a lot less whatever on the shoulders of like a florist right now that's just like dropping out flowers, versus like you guys that have to deal with like interacting with the guests the whole time and everybody the whole time and all the liability and everything. Do you feel that? Do you feel like it's a little more on your guys' shoulders?
I think it's stressful because you've got your liquor laws, right? You've got the mandates, and then you're the bartender, and everybody expects the bartender to be the life of the party. So how do you make everything like fun and compliant and safe and not scary?
We already had, before this whole thing, a lot of liability and insurance issues, not issues, but a lot of that stuff on our shoulders, just being bartenders and the distributor of alcohol. And then, like Jan said, you add in these things like COVID. And so you got the mandates and the new things and following venues rules while trying to keep the bride and groom and all them happy. And it's just a lot of moving pieces. And I love like being in stressful situations like, oh, I got to do this here and I got to do this here. But I can get it done. But COVID's just not that fun. It's not fun like having like a good hard bar shift. I love those. COVID just sucks.
Yeah, that's the best summary for it. COVID sucks. And yeah, it's trying to be, right. The bartender, I mean, obviously the celebration is of two people that really love each other. But we're like the second best when it comes to that after that, right? It's the couple and then it's us. Like we're the one that's supplying all this extra fun, right? And so it's trying to be the cool kid that also has the elbow pads, knee pads, and the helmet on, skating down the block and trying to impress everybody. Like everybody's gonna be like, that's a cool skateboard, but you still kind of acting really dorky.
Still kind of dorky. That's awesome.
And so it's definitely hard. And I feel like we have a lot more pressure than a lot of other vendors. I mean, a lot of them take a lot of talent and skill, but they don't have the same things that we have to deal with. Part of me wishes I started a floral business just to drop off flowers. This would be a whole different conversation.
Right.
No, here goes your petunias, Daniela. Right? This is amazing.
Yeah, I saw the cupcake lady. I know that those cupcakes were amazing, and she spent all morning making them, and she's a talented woman, but she set up her little cupcake station and then walked away, and I was like, ooh. Yeah, same thing. I should start making cupcakes. Like, yeah.
No, I mean that. No, I really do, because I'm like, the biggest thing for me in the day is like clicking like my little focus thing in to make sure that like, it's just totally different. It's just totally different. And I feel for you guys so much. And that's why even when, Jan was saying, you got to do the bartenders. And I said, dude, I know. I said, because it's the lifeblood of the party. There's so much going on. And just, like you said, just so much, there was a great analogy now. There really was, Nigel. That really was doing the skateboarder with all the pads on, trying to be safe and still be cool.
That was good.
It's true. But you gotta crack jokes. Like I'll have my mask on, and they'll come up and they'll not have their mask on, and I'll be all, okay, that I have just spit at you 3 times, and my mask has caught that spit.
What are you guys going to be doing here, in the meantime? Are we just taking a break? Are we refining things? Are we looking for other stuff? I mean, how are you guys? I know, Ryan, I know you guys all work and everyone else does stuff. How are you guys just taking a break from weddings? I mean, what's going on? How is the mentality thing? Because I know some people are just really kind of fed up at this point, and I don't blame them. Ryan?
I am taking a bit of a break. I will help any client that I can, and we're moving and postponing. It's a lot of man hours on the phone. I've spent, easy 100 hours on the phone and not made one penny, just rescheduling stuff. So I'm kind of excited to spend some weekends with my kids and help the restaurants. And right now I'm just stacking every penny I can because I didn't get my stimulus or any unemployment for 2 months. And so that ate through a good amount of my savings. My son goes to a nice school and all that. So when I got all that stuff, I paid my rent a month in advance. I paid my son's tuition a month in advance. So just kind of laying low, maybe enjoy the summer, but still very much keep an active role in the community and with my clients. So kind of 50-50. Some people are just getting fed up and throwing in the towel. Some are just going super gung-ho. And so I'm just kind of in the middle, trying to take it one day at a time.
Jan, what about you?
Well, Party on the Rocks says diversified. We have a friend in the wedding industry who was a wedding planner, and he wasn't planning weddings, so he got a job with Microsoft, and he's doing the event planning for the PhD internship program. So we are shipping cocktail boxes, minus the alcohol, across the US and Canada. And then our lead bartender, Josh, is logging into their teams, and we're doing cocktail classes for their networking events. And we've been doing it. We've done our second one now just last week. And then we were approached by a production company to white label the same thing, cocktail classes. So that's cool. My garden looks beautiful. And I was floating in my pool the other day with my business partner, Claire, and I was like, why don't we do this more often? And she's like, because it's Saturday and we're usually at work. So
yeah, I saw the picture on the pool about that. I saw you guys floating around. That looked like
I see you post pictures of your pool all the time. I love it.
Come on over. Jealous. It's 12 feet across. We can social distance.
All right, I'm on my way. I'll be there in an hour.
Nigel, I'm going to meet you again. I think you were talking to someone. I know you, when we talked on the Get to Know Your Wedding Pro, you were doing the the boxes and everything, the cocktails to go. How's everything going for you guys?
Right now we're doing quite well. We partnered with Hungry Mungries, worked with them on a couple of non-alcoholic, and then we're just trying to do what we can at this point. Working with a lot of restaurants and trying to revamp, because we've noticed that with everything going on with SBA loans, a lot of restaurants and bars are reconstructing everything that they're doing, right? Yes. And so we've had the opportunity to kind of talk to them about what we're doing, and they've seen what we've done at several events based off of people that I've met. And we're just reconstructing bar menus, doing a lot of different consulting at this point, and just trying to continue to move forward. But that's pretty much just about it. Yeah, just, healthy partnerships, just trying to figure out different other ways to grow.
Yeah. Are you guys worried when we come back into everything, how it's going to look for you guys? Is that just too far ahead to even stress about, Jan?
I think it's just too far ahead right now. God bless the wedding industry for trying to get us back into play. And they were successful. What they didn't bank on is people not being in compliance and spiking. And it's not just the wedding industry and the wedding venues and the planners that weren't working in compliance. It's the beaches that have 2,000 people at them and the bars that are packed, right? It's just everything that compounded, and they just have to stop it. So I just don't think that we can't do anything right now because we've tried, right? How many times have we rescheduled, Ryan? Like 3 times, 4 times?
4 times, yeah.
So I just don't, I think we just have to stay in a holding pattern, diversify like Nigel's done, and wait for it to come back with some stabilization.
Yeah, I finally had I'm Mr. Email folder, all the folders in my inbox, Mr. Email, whatever. And I finally had to make one, just for like the reschedules, because I used to just, you have them, and that's like I live by my inbox and my to-do list and like what's going on. And I go down every day and, trying to finally just having to take, however many 10 or 12 that have come in since last week and just toss them in there. It's just crazy. Like the avalanche that kind of came in since Thursday, and just, really trying to just be positive for everyone and just be, supportive, but still obviously it's sad about that. Well, this has been interesting. I was going to hold this, but I think this is a good kind of check-in about how everyone's doing and just kind of a general whatever. I really appreciate, everyone taking the time, and I think this has been good. I think it's healthy to continue the discussion. I know the one that we posted today, I was really happy about, and just hearing from everybody talking and really getting the check-in. And I think that people sit and you worry and you read and I just think it's so nice to hear from people and see from people that we know and know that I think not everyone's alone and that a lot of people are feeling the same thing. Is there anything else I haven't asked you guys about that you're screaming in the back of your head saying, why is Reed being a dummy and not asking me about this today?
I think we're going to come back. I think we're going to come back strong, but in a different way. Yeah. And with the new immunization that we're taking, I mean, y'all are too young to remember, but I was the kid that had the sugar cube on my tongue, the kindergarten, first and second grade, because of polio, right? That was a scary virus back in the late 60s, early 70s. They figured out a vaccine for it. So I think they're going to figure out a vaccine for this too. We just have to be patient.
Rion, how do you maintain the positivity? You're Mr. Positive, positive bartender. How do you maintain that?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just positive by nature, and I mean, I have my good days and my bad days, but I realize that we're all going to survive. It's very sad that some people have passed, but if we just keep rolling, but it's all going to get there, like Jan said. I mean, I don't know, and it sucks because, like I said, I'm so blessed because I will survive and others did it, and maybe that's why I'm positive. Because even though I'm not flush with cash like I am, like I should be right now in the middle of the busy season,
right?
Yeah, I should be, but I don't know. Just stay positive. It'll be fine. We'll all get there, and if we don't, then we'll find some other means. We're all smart people. We all work hard. We all try hard in this industry. I love working with the other vendors, and it'll all be fine. And I want to thank you personally, Reed, for doing things like this, because it's things like this that keep people connected. It keeps people in the know, and I love the opportunity for us three bartenders to talk to each other and just get different vibes and feel. And it's things like these are healthy. Things like these are good. So I say push forward. I want to ask you a question, Reed. What's like a type of vendor, or like what's the most obscure group you're going to get together? Because like photographers and bartenders and caterers, those all make sense. But what's like a weird group that you want to get together, like that just sounds fun? Like, is there a group of yodelers? You're like, dude, I got these 3 yodelers that like this is crazy right now, but I got you guys. Like, what do you think?
I should work on my magician roundtable. That's my my mark out moment when we have like the magician people. I've done enough. I think I've done enough video work for enough magicians that we could get together a magician roundtable.
I would love to see that.
If we're not doing weddings by December, maybe we'll do if I'm still sitting here, maybe we'll get to the magician roundtable.
The magicians. All right. That was a great answer.
Nigel, take us home. How are you, and what's final thoughts for tonight?
I'm still good in high spirits. I luckily have music with me that helps me become very creative, right? So, even though, like you said earlier, I should be flush with cash right now during this busy season, I've still been spending money like I am for some reason.
Homeowner.
Exactly, right? And I've also been buying a lot of records. So, I'm still happy because I still have this abundance of music that I can go and, keep listening to, that keeps me happy. And I honestly believe all this trial and tribulation is going to make us stronger. I feel like my whole life there's always been stepping stones or hurdles that I've been just trying to get over, and that's not a pun because I ran track, but it's just like there's always just been something, and every time I've just come back stronger, and so I'm excited. I'm excited for everything that is to come. I mean, it's unfortunate because I know that businesses are going to be lost, especially as a business banker on the side. So I see a lot of this happening, but I believe we are just going to be stronger and things are going to get better. Maybe I'll work on my flair bartending a little bit. Who knows? Might be starting to flip some bottles here soon enough. I'm not that good at it now. I'm not promising it, but I'm just excited about everything. And honestly, I'm happy for this. Is like the first free summer I had in like 5 years.
Right.
So it's unique. I mean, granted, I can't do anything. We hop in the car and we go to Lowe's, but besides that, like, we have, it's nice just to be kind of free somewhat.
A little bit.
And I'm happy. And I despite, not doing weddings, we have a lot of support in other areas. People love collaborating with us, and we love collaborating with other business owners. And we're also doing a lot of nonprofit stuff with the NAACP right now. So it's been very, very nice, and I'm super happy. Yeah.
Good. Well, like I said, this was going to be one thing, and then everything happened last week, and it's become another thing. And I do think this is valuable. So thank you guys so much for your time. Just a final plug before we go. We'll go around and I'll include everybody's stuff. But Nigel, we'll start with you and circle back. And anything else you want to plug before we go?
Oh yeah. So you mean to start name and stuff? Sorry.
Yeah, if you want to.
Yeah. So I'm Nigel Lindsey, owner of Revolution by the Barrel. I'm not that clueless to forget what my business is. We are a craft cocktail catering company, and yeah.
Perfect. Ryan?
My name is Rion McConnehey. I'm owner at My Perfect Bartender. Yeah, just bar services, mobile bar services all over the state, full consultations, any questions you can have. Another thing too, my email's super backlogged, but I'm one of the few people that picks up. Do you guys pick up the phone? I pick up the phone. Nobody picks up the
Yeah.
phone these days. So you can
Yep.
call me anytime, and I will return your call.
And Jan, my old friend, take us home.
Hey, I'm Jan Fernandez. I am partner and compliance officer at Party on the Rocks, event staffing and mobile bar service. We actually have a Washington State liquor license, so we can bring the party.
Awesome. And I'll always remember meeting you at the Seattle Wedding Show, shoulder to shoulder, I don't know how many years ago now. So it's great to get everybody still
3,
on.
4, yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys so much again. We'll get some more of these roundtables going, but I do appreciate the bartender stepping in as always and bringing some good insights. So thank you guys again. If you are listening, you have a question for a future episode, you can go to bestmadevideos.com/survey. We have all the vendors organized by type. If you have questions for certain vendor types, I would love to do that. And normally I do big calls for questions, but obviously it's a little testy times right now with getting these recorded. So thank you guys again, and take care. Stay safe.
Thanks.
Take care, Reed.
Bye.